Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. I want to welcome all of my new subscribers. This is kind of crazy. I went from having like 14 subscribers to now I have like over 260, which is nuts. So thank you. I want to thank you all. Thank you for following. Thank you for hitting like. If this is your first video, I promise I'll make it worth it. But if you haven't seen the video that's blowing up, that video is all about how I quit weed. And this is kind of a follow-up video to that. So I just want to dive in a little bit with maybe a little bit more quick information. 5 things that people don't tell you when you quit weed. Number 1, you need to replace it with something else, okay? Preferably something healthier. So what I did personally, I don't have any other vices. Like I don't really drink. As I mentioned in the other video, I only do psychedelics here and there. It's not like something that I'm doing all the time. And they're anti-addictive anyway. But for me, what I replaced weed with and my time getting high is physical fitness. And when the weather was good, doing walks. So for me, fitness, just working out of some kind is a really good replacement. But if not that, I'm sure there's plenty of other things. Maybe you're already working out. I was already working out, but I replaced that extra time of smoking weed with it. But if not exercising, if not doing that, then I would say for anybody who has like a hobby or wants to develop a hobby or an interest, pursue that and spend more time in that, and you won't miss that time that you were previously smoking and getting high. Number 2 is it will mess up your sleep cycle. It will. Your body got used to falling asleep while it's high, especially if you did it in the evening, which most people do. And it affects your REM sleep. So when you first quit, it's going to be hard to fall asleep and it's going to be hard to stay asleep. You're also really going to have vivid dreams. Your memories of your dreams are going to come back, and you might have not even realized how little you remembered your dreams when you were smoking. So that is something that for sure will be affected. I do find that it normalizes after a few months, but in the first couple months, man, just expect your sleep to just not be as good overall. Number 3, the first few months, and I say this as somebody who's over 4 months since I last smoked, your first few months are really just about normalizing your system. So your dopamine levels, your overall just endorphins that you're getting from day-to-day activities. You know, if you used to pepper in getting high in a bunch of different activities, then you now have to accommodate for the fact that you are now no longer getting that extra hit from those activities. So at first it's going to seem like things are a little more dull. It's going to seem like things are maybe not as good. But that's really just that your dopamine levels are so off. Like your perception of feel-good chemicals is off, and you need to let it reset. And it takes longer than even the first month, you know. So give it time, stick to it, and once you've gotten to like 3 months in, I would say at 3 months in is when I felt like, okay, I'm enjoying my day-to-day life. I mean, I was enjoying it before then, but by month 3, I felt like I was enjoying my day-to-day life. I was more present in the moment. I was more where I needed to be. And when difficult things would arise, which sometimes will force some people to relapse, I was able to handle those things. You know, those things, they didn't push me back to smoking. I was able to just continue on with what I was doing, and I just dealt with it in a way that maybe I would smoke to just be okay with something that I'm not normally okay with. Number 4 is you might lose some friends. I've been pretty lucky. Like, I already keep my circle pretty small, but my friends who I did smoke with, like, they're totally cool. They're not people who, you know, were gonna just abandon me because I wasn't smoking weed with them anymore. However, I know that there are some people that might be in your life, and there certainly were people that maybe if I had quit years ago, would not appreciate that you're no longer smoking with them. And they might take offense to it or take a slight, and sometimes you might end up losing those friends. Friends are meant to be in your life for seasons at times. You know, some people are lifelong friends, but some people really are just there for a certain moment of your life. And I think sometimes we just have to learn to accept that and accept that maybe that person was there for that time of my life, but maybe now in order to grow to this next place that you're trying to get to, being weed free, maybe they're not able to come along with you. And you don't want to force your life decisions on people anyway, right? You're not trying to get other people to quit just because you quit. I think is really important. Don't do that, okay? Not everybody has a problem with weed, and for the ones that do, they're probably not going to want to admit it unless they've come to that conclusion themselves. And if they've come to that conclusion themselves and they've reached out to you based on your success story of being able to stay away from it, then by all means offer your help and support and try to do what you can to bring those people along the journey with you. But if somebody's not there yet, don't force it. Don't try to bring people to a level that they're not at. Let people be where they need to be and let them come to their own conclusions, because we can't force anybody else to do what you want them to do. You want people to do what they want to do, and you want to support them in making healthier choices when given the opportunity. But you definitely don't want to shame them. You definitely don't want to make people feel bad for continuing to do it, because as I've said before, weed does not ruin everybody's life. It definitely can ruin lives, and it definitely can mess up somebody's priorities, and it definitely can prevent you from living your life to the fullest and experiencing your greatest potential. I felt like, for me personally, it prevented me from doing those things. I don't know that it always did, but it definitely became that in the last several years. So for me, since quitting, I am way more productive, and not just about productivity. I'm also way more present in life, and I feel like I'm overall doing more of what I believe I should be doing. So you might lose some friends. It's part of the game. But if those friends are not there to support you in your journey in recovering from this addiction, because it definitely can be an addiction, I think it's important to let those people stay where they're at if they're not willing to come with you where you're at. Number 5, and this one is probably one of the most important, is that your unresolved trauma is going to bubble to the surface. A lot of times when people smoke, it's not that weed does not make you unaware of what your problems are necessarily. It doesn't. If anything, sometimes you become more self-conscious when you're high. But what it might do is it might make you complacent or okay with some stuff that you're really not okay with. And sometimes that is hidden in repressed things that you've been putting off for a long time. And depending on how long you've been kind of in the high stupor of smoking all the time, that shit might hit you pretty hard, man. And when it does, it really can come out of what feels like nowhere, but when you really think about what it is and what it's coming from, you'll understand, okay, actually, yeah, I kind of always known this, but I was ignoring it because I was high and it didn't bother me that much. So I feel like this one is so important, is that try to find a therapist, do therapy if you can. I know that's not always accessible and it is expensive. So if you don't have health insurance, or if your health insurance doesn't cover it, I understand that this could be a cost prohibitive thing. But, when your unresolved trauma does bubble up to the surface, you need to take the time and really you got to sit with it. I personally meditate. So for me, meditating on some of those feelings and that energy, it helps me get clarity and helps me separate myself from those emotions, and hopefully allow me to then deconstruct the source of those things and to work on the things that I need to do to work on that are related to why those things are happening. So, unresolved trauma, when you've really not been dealing with it for a long time, it can hit you like a brick, and it might make you think that, oh, quitting was the wrong decision. But the reality is that no, this stuff was affecting you on a day-to-day basis all the time. It already was. And it might have manifested itself in you getting more acne from stress, or higher cortisol levels in your brain, but you weren't conscious of it, or you weren't aware of it, because you were just getting high instead as the medication. And yeah, that part's one of the hardest parts, that ideally it gets easier over time as you start to unpack things. But sometimes, it's not a linear journey, and so sometimes you will unpack some deep emotional baggage that you might have not been dealing with, and you finally get through that, and then you realize there's an even deeper layer that now you're strong enough and you're aware enough to finally come to that level, and to be like, okay, now that I've dealt with this baggage, there's this other baggage that was a tiny bag inside of that bag, And this bag was forbidden. It had a lock and key on it that was not even, you couldn't even get close to touching this thing. That now you're strong enough and you're aware enough, but it also is going to be that much harder to unpack. You got to find the key, you got to unlock it, and then after you unlock it, maybe the zipper's also a little tight. You know, you had that shit buried down deep. And so if you were unable to, or unwilling to deal with that before, it's going to be even more challenging as you get deeper and deeper within the layers of the onion, so to speak, to quote Shrek. But yeah, so anyway, those are my top 5 things that people don't tell you when you quit smoking weed. And I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you liked it, please give me a like. If you want to see more videos like this, please give me a subscribe. I'm trying to build this channel. I got a few goals that I have set for 2023. I would love to see me finally hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, so I can, you know, become YouTube partner and try to really make a serious go at this thing. And I need your guys' support. I need regular people like you who are watching this video to help me to continue to bring more of these stuff. I want to make more videos for you all, and it would be awesome if I could eventually make a living off of it. So thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Peace out. Stay positive.